Hari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotra Shadashri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srilaprabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotra Shadashri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srilaprabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 14th chapter, text number 47. Yat prasadadidam vishvam prasidati yadatmakam sasasvadrig bhagavan yasya toshyate nanyadadrisha. Yat prasadadidam vishvam prasidati yadatmakam sasvadrig bhagavan yasya toshyate nanyadrisha. Yat prasadat idam vishvam prasidati yadatmakam sasvadrig bhagavan yasya toshyate nanyadrisha. Word to word meaning. Yad, by whose, prasadatat, mercy of, idam, this, vishvam, universe, prasidati, becomes happy. Yad, whose, atmakam, because of his omnipotence. Saha, he, Swadreg, taking special care of his devotees. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasya, whose, Toshyate, becomes pleased. Ananyaya, without deviation. Drisha, by intelligence. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. Please repeat the translation. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated everywhere as the Super Soul, and he can dictate to anyone and everyone as he likes. The would-be grandson of Diti, who was predicted to be a great devotee, would be liked by everyone, even by the enemies of his father, because he would have no other vision besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee of the Lord sees the presence of his worshipable Lord everywhere. The Lord reciprocates in such a way that all living entities in whom the Lord is dwelling as a super soul also like a pure devotee because the Lord is present in their hearts and can dictate to them to be friendly to his devotees. There are many instances in history wherein even the most ferocious animal became friendly to a pure devotee of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yat prasadad idam vishvam prasidati yadatmakam sa swadrig bhagavan yasya toshyate na anyaya drisha. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. So, Kashyapa is telling Diti in the last few verses about the consequences of the action that she has indulged in. What will be the consequences? In some of the previous verses, Kashyapa is telling Diti about the various catastrophes that are going to happen because of certain actions performed. But in this particular verse, Kashyapa is telling, although catastrophes are there, there is something good also that will happen. And that good happening is about the birth of Prahlad, who will be her grandson. Our sons will be two big Rakshasas, but our grandson will be a great devotee of the Lord. Jai Shri Radhekrishnaworld Shri Nitai Gauranga ki. So the laws of nature are perfect. As you sow, so you reap. So Diti performed some wrong actions for which she will be punished with the birth of two great Rakshasas. At the same time, Diti also has performed many austerities, pious activities. So she will also be blessed with a great devotee of the Lord, an empowered soul. And here, Prabhupada in the purport is saying that yes, Diti's action with Kashyapa of having sex at an improper time, that consequence will definitely be very bad. But at the same time, Diti was very subservient to her husband Kashyapa. She was also a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So she is having a lot of pious credits by those actions. So you see, the laws of nature is always perfect. It will not go wrong. Bad actions will bring in bad results. Good actions will bring in good results. Perfectly delivered. The results are perfectly delivered. Justice is perfect. So Prabhupada's saying that the laws of karma are perfect. Our happiness and sufferings are a result of our own karma. Nobody else is responsible for our sufferings or happiness. So when we face situations, we must not point fingers. Whatever be the external cause for that result, we cannot say that it is due to this, it is due to that. Laws of nature is perfect. Good or bad. Whatever we suffer, whatever we enjoy, are our own doing. Of course, our enjoyment or suffering cannot happen without the will of the Lord. Ultimately, the will of the Lord prevails. So, this the glory of Prahlad is also mentioned in this particular verse. The grandson that will be born to Diti, it is mentioned here that he will be very pleasing to everyone. He will have no enemies. He is Ajata Shatru. Doesn't have any enemies. And why will he be pleasing to everyone? Because his only purpose in life is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you see, as long as our purpose is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everyone will be pleased with us. What a unique Shastric understanding. Most essential in this material world. In this material world, everyone are constantly trying to please various people or to please themselves. World over, everyone is trying in different ways. People say, my only goal in life, which they think is selfless. Many good intentioned people, they have good intentions. And with those good intentions, those people, they say, my only intention is that I can take care of my family, my wife, my children. If I am able to do that, I am very, very happy. They don't even talk about themselves. They say, I am not worried about but I want to ensure that my child gets the best. People go even further. They say, I'm not worried about my family. I want to see that I am so selfless. Or people consider that person to be very selfless if they say, see, so much of welfare, so much of community minded he is. He did so much good for the country. He did so much good for his community, for his society. He did so much good for the mankind. He did so much for the humanity, recognized by everybody. People like Mother Teresa, they are so much glorified. People like Gandhi, there are so many people like that. They are all glorified so much. Not that they don't deserve, they deserve, because they have gone thinking beyond just me and myself. In Kali Yuga, generally, very few people can go beyond their immediate body, mind and senses. So selfish people have become, so self-centered people have become. So obviously, when somebody is just thinking and caring for people beyond themselves, at least their families, is appreciated. And there are special people in this material world who are considered very special, who can think beyond themselves, their family, and go up to their community and country. There are even further people who can go beyond their country, beyond themselves, beyond their families, and think of humanity. But our scriptures, our acharyas, their idea of selflessness is something beyond all these things. Their idea of selflessness is when you can please, your only objective in life is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like when you try and please somebody beyond yourself, somebody beyond your community and country, people appreciate that person. But you see that in this material world, no matter how much you try and do, people will find fault, even when you want to do something good for community. You can see Prabhupada constantly quoted the example of Gandhi. Prabhupada said Gandhi was good intentioned man. He wanted to do good for his people. But ultimately his own people shot him dead. That is the nature of the material world. That is the nature of the material world. Any conception of goodness, any idea of good which doesn't involve, which is not having a connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be good. Cannot be good. This is the firm assertion of the scriptures, of the Shastras. And this essential, fundamental truth is not known to a vast number of people, to 99% of the people, that any goodness cannot exist independent of God, cannot exist independent of Krishna. This knowledge is very much lacking in society. Because the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, the knowledge of the real essence of the Vedic literatures, people do not have. They do not have because they have not got association of a pure devotee. Only a pure devotee can give this knowledge, can impart this knowledge, that how without the Lord, without the connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you cannot please or you cannot bring goodness or happiness to anybody. This simple knowledge, until and unless a person comes in touch, associates with devotees of the Lord, this knowledge he will not get. He will not get. Supposing I tell theoretically to somebody, he will feel I am mad. How is goodness? People make comments, no? We want to do good to humanity. What is the use of worshipping, doing your japa, doing worshipping idols? All these things, how does it really bring about welfare? How does it feel? It doesn't make you feel good about anything else. You are not doing any good for any people per se. This is the argument that is generally given by people. We can understand they have no conception of goodness at all. Completely lacking in spiritual understanding. Their whole understanding is just limited to me, my body, my senses. Their whole understanding is limited to only material consciousness. So they can only see things of material goodness. Material goodness, material happiness, material pleasure is so temporary, is so fleeting. They can only see on the realm of a very, very temporary realm of happiness, of pleasure. If you want to see lasting happiness, if you want to see eternal happiness, then you must have a spiritual idea. You must have a spiritual conception. It is so important to have a spiritual perspective in life. Otherwise, we will be very, very foolish. So, when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, our idea of happiness, our paradigm shifts from material to spiritual. Every aspect will shift. People think building hospitals, doing roads, giving development, helping people live better in their material lives will solve all the difficulties of mankind. No, it won't. Srila Prabhupada all over the world went and constantly emphasized strongly that no, it is not possible. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi will not leave you. It will haunt you. No matter how good a hospital, how good a infrastructure you have, you cannot get over all these things. Prabhupada always gave this example There may be many zeros, but it has no value. But if many zeros have a prefix of even 1, then that number gains a huge value. That 1 is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That number is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prahlad being described here as pleasing to everyone. Why he is pleasing to everyone? Because his perspective in life is to only please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when our purpose is only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you will automatically be liked by everyone. Yata taror moola nashechadena. Because that is the root. When the root is watered, automatically the rest of the tree gets all nutrients necessary. So similarly, when Krishna is constantly remembered and glorified and served, automatically you are serving every other part and parcels associated with the living, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because ultimately, every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when you water the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when you serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically all his parts and parcels, they get served. Whereas when we independently try to serve individuals, there will be so many mistakes, so many accidents, and ultimately it doesn't result in any significant happiness either for yourself or for others. And all your efforts will end up in frustration. To develop faith in this understanding, people have no faith. When we speak like that, oh, this is all not correct. People do not have faith in this simple truth. And they neglect, not that they don't understand, they understand. But they do not have faith. They do not see that what we are talking about is the profound truth of existence. They have no faith. And because of lack of faith, they continue to exist in this material world, performing various kind of fruitive activities in the mode of passion and ignorance. And repeatedly, anybody who performs action in modes of passion and ignorance will have to repeatedly take birth in different species of life. So the Bhagavatam is educating us through examples like Prahlad in these verses, that how to become pleasing. Everybody wants to be pleasing, right? There are so many books, self-development books. A politician wants to be pleasing. He goes to the people and tell, elect me, and I will give you roads, I will give you houses, I will increase your income, I will do this, I will do that. Everything with an idea about that. By saying all these things, he is telling people, okay, all of you want this, I will be able to give you this. I will be able to do this for you. It is not possible. Even if he does everything, something will happen. Just like in Krishna book, the story of what is that? The king who donated unlimited cows to the Brahmanas. So the king donated, what is his name? Nriga, Maharaj Nriga. So Nriga donated so many cows to a Brahmana from the king's fleet of cows. And in that one cow, after it was donated, it came back to the palace. And that cow, the king donated to other, because the king didn't realize that it has come back. That cow he donated to somebody else, to another Brahmana. So then this Brahmana saw that the king's cow was with the other Brahmana. So then he came back to the king and said, see, the cow that you have given me, you have taken it back and given it to another person. So the king did an enquiry and then came to know this is what happened. So the king told that other Brahmana, don't worry, I'll give you another cow. And the Brahmana said, no, you have already given me the cow, you should give me the same cow. Now the king was in dilemma, what to do. Now if he asked the other Brahmana, you kindly give the cow, I'll give you one more cow. The other Brahmana said, no, you have already given me the cow, I cannot give. So both ways. So then finally the king couldn't do anything. And for which the king had to become a lizard. He had to become a lizard. Of course, this Leela Krishna himself wanted it, but there is a message in this. And of course, he got liberation, he got the Sarupya Mukti when when Lord Krishna appeared in Dwapara Yuga and touched the body of this lizard. Maharaja Nriga got Sarupya liberation. But there is a message in this Leela that how doing such kind of charitable activities also one can fall into difficult situations. So generally people are limited to being charitable, being kind, being gentle without the conception of God. Without conception that ultimately service to the Lord is primary. No. Our efforts, our endeavors has only one purpose. Ante Narayana Smritihi. It should end up the goal of the Vedic literatures as mentioned. Ante Narayana. It should come to remembrance of Krishna. If it has to end up in remembrance of Krishna, then all our activities must have a connection with Krishna. If there is no connection with Krishna, then it is bound to have some inebrities. That is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastramastu vatstu chidaram tapatrayon moolanam Srimad Bhagavata Mahamune krite. Srimad Bhagavatam has been created to ensure dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Nirmatsaranam satam. Matsara bhava is selfish attitude. Nirmatsara means completely selfless. So this completely selflessness, how it can come? When you are completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. You have no other desire other than the desire of the Lord. Vedyam vadyam astu chivadam tapatrayon mularam. Srimad Bhagavata Mahamune Krite. This Bhagavatam has been created by Mahamuni for this purpose. All kinds of Kaitava Dharma to vanquish it. Kaitava Dharma means improper religion, incomplete religion. It has some kind of faults, whereas Bhagavatam is faultless. So, Diti is very fortunate that she is going to beget a grandson of that stature. So, we must aim. We may not be able to make the whole world pure devotees of the Lord. But at least Srila Prabhupada has given us one small group of people who want to think and act in this way. You see, Krishna provides space. Oh, in Kali Yuga, in this most fallen age, where the society is completely aham mameti, they are only thinking of me and myself. How can one become selfless? Srila Prabhupada has given us an opportunity by creating an institution where people who are interested to engage in this kind of a lifestyle, to live a lifestyle like this, by the power of the holy name, we can establish ourselves in this pure consciousness. So benevolent great acharyas are, that they freely help us in achieving this highest state of consciousness. Today is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a practical manifestation of how to be in this kind of consciousness, even while engaging in so-called worldly actions. As we all know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a magistrate having a responsible position in government service. He had to do so many worldly duties. But yet, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was completely fixed in the consciousness of serving Krishna, in spite of being engaged in practical various material activities. But yet his consciousness, we call him the seventh Goswamis. There are 6 Goswamis who are principal Goswamis. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is called the 7th Goswami because his life was like that. Why are they called the principal 6 Goswamis? Because their mind, body, senses are completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Nana Shastra Vidaranaika Nipunau. That verse, that song describes what is the consciousness of the Shad Goswami. So, Bhakti Vinod Thakur possessed the same level of consciousness. So many books Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote. Bhakti Vinod Thakur re-established the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which had gone into Sahajiyism, impersonalism, all these, just 200 or 300 years post Mahaprabhu's incarnation, the entire Sampradaya was lost, with different kinds of Apasampradayas taking over. The core essence of Gaudiya Sampradaya was lost. But Bhakti Vinod Thakur revived the pure nature of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Prabhupada writes, Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote books and then sold those books to Western countries. Today morning we read Bhakti Vinod Thakur readings. And we all know the very famous lifestyle of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. How disciplined Bhakti Vinod Thakur was. It is not easy having material responsibilities and yet be engaged in pure devotional service. It takes a lot of determination and commitment. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was of that stature, that he was a materially a important person. Just like, for example, a collector, a magistrate, they have so many responsibilities, so many duties. They don't have, just like we go and invite sometimes important people. Swami, please sir, come to our temple, attend our festivals. They constantly tell Swamiji, where is the time for us? We cannot come. You have to take up chanting. How can I get 2 hours to chant Krishna's name? Where is the time to read the Bhagavad-Gita? And they are not even, some of them, at least some sincere people, they are interested. And yet they do not find, it's a fact that they do not find the time to do that. And I have seen, when we go and meet, they have no time for anything else. So many different kinds of pressures are there. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur is of that. He took on that kind of responsibilities. Yet today, all the literatures that we have are Bhakti Vinod Thakur's contribution. Srila Prabhupada says it was because Bhakti Vinod Thakur translated so many of these things, I am having an opportunity to give you all these kind of things. That is Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. They are situated, they are people of Nirmatsaranam Satam. They are people who are situated on that platform. And obviously, even after Bhakti Vinod Thakur's departure, it's been more than, I think, 150 years now since Bhakti Vinod Thakur left. But yet, you see, he is impacting all our lives. Prahlad Maharaj must have left millions of years back. But yet, Prahlad's behavior and instructions motivate and guide even now. They are so pleasing. Whereas in the material world, somebody would have done a road, somebody would have done a bridge. How many years will that bridge last? How many years will that road last? Very short period. Their contributions to people's lives is very, very limited. Whereas somebody who has contributed to us spiritually, somebody who has made us spiritually engaged, they eternally are giving us the benefit. Because the nature is, they have given us spiritual. That's why we say we must be so grateful to people who have contributed to our spiritual life. Eternally grateful. We can never become, take those people for granted. They have contributed immensely to our life. Guru, even Vaishnavas who have preached to us, who have tried to engage, who has given us our basic idea of Krishna. We should be so thankful, so grateful to them. We must ensure we don't make offenses. Sometimes in the midst of community, we miss all these things. We take things for, ye Prabhuji bola hai. No. Must be so grateful to them. Even if they speak harshly, do something, you must still be very grateful to them. I remember once when in Bangalore, when Madhu Pandit Prabhu was studying in IIT Bombay, Madhu Pandit Prabhu went to the ISKCON Jew temple in 1980. And there was one man. He was a congregation. He was not a full-time devotee. So he preached to Madhu Pandit Prabhu about Krishna consciousness. Madhu Pandit Prabhu had read in IIT library some Prabhupada books. But then he went to the ISKCON temple. The practical aspects of devotional service, getting up early, chanting and all those kind of things. So this congregation man, he preached to MPP. And then MPP started taking up Krishna consciousness. So then after many years, then of course shifted and place separated, but continuation in Krishna consciousness, MPP took up. So after many years in Bangalore, that man came to Bangalore. Very ordinary looking middle class person. So he came to Bangalore. And then MPP introduced him to all of us. So respectful. And then I also spoke to him, to that man. That man looks like one ordinary congregation devotee. Even now. He is never become a full-time devotee. He is very simple. Like we know how when we meet some congregation, we know some level of Krishna consciousness, but not so. Even now he is like that. But MPP was so respectful, so thankful, so reverential. He is senior to me in that mood. So much, we take these things for granted, but MPP is far more senior, far more shastrically sound. But yet that respect is there. Because ultimately that man has been a medium for planting the seed of Krishna consciousness in somebody's heart. That is gratefulness. As devotees, we should never forget these things. Never ever should we forget all these things. Be very thankful to devotees who have. Krishna will be very pleased with this behavior. Same way we saw how once, I remember Prabhupada's son, the last child of Prabhupada, what's his name? Vrindavanchandra Day. He had come to Bangalore. And then I was also saw him. He looks like ordinary man, pant and shirt. But yet, all of us were having, who is Prabhupada's son? Doesn't matter. It is not ordinary to be a pure devotee's son like that. Externally, they appear to be like that. So we must recognize who have contributed to our life. We cannot be arrogant and evasive in our behavior. Devotee means he is always in gratefulness consciousness. He is grateful. That is devotee consciousness. Otherwise it becomes false ego. We start thinking, I am somebody, I am now what? He must have told me, but now I am also devotee, I am also chanting, I am doing service, I am doing this. No. That is false ego conception. You will tuck, you will fall down any time of the time. Okay. So these are very nice verses for us to uh, think about, ponder on. Yat prasadad idam vishvam prasidati yadatmakam sasvadrig bhagavan yasya toshyate nanyaya drisha. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. We'll stop here if there's any question, comments. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की.